Blair ran down the sidewalk like those next few minutes were all that stood between her and a very different life. She was late for an interview that could change everything. She'd missed the bus, had no money for an Uber, and the only way to cover 9 blocks was on foot. Eyes on the time, she didn't see the man coming toward her, staring at his phone, until they collided. Down she went. Her purse burst open, resumes scattered, and the heel of her sandals snapped with a loud crack. "Watch where you're going." Blair snapped, still on the pavement as she grabbed her papers. The man, tall, sharp suit, phone in hand, didn't bend to help. "You were the one charging down the street," he said, cool as ice. Blair stared up, shocked at his flat expression. No concern, no apology. Just that polished, impatient look of someone used to being obeyed. "You broke my heel," she said, voice shaking. "How am I supposed to walk into an interview like this? This was my chance." "You arrogant snob." He lifted an eyebrow. "If you're truly qualified, a broken heel won't stop you." "Wonderful," she said. "Put that on a mug." He gave half a smile, or maybe it was a twitch, murmured, "Good luck with your life," and kept walking. Blair looked at the ruined shoe in her hand, inhaled, lifted her chin, and decided, fine. She'd go barefoot. She slipped off the other sandal, grabbed both in one hand, and kept moving. A few minutes later, she pushed through the glass doors of Z&K's lobby, breathless, barefoot, hair stuck to her forehead, dignity doing its best to keep up. The receptionist, crisp in a blazer that probably cost 3 times Blair's rent, stared like a UFO had just landed. "Interview for executive assistant," Blair said, standing as straight as she could. "Name?" "Blair Evans." Keystrokes, a brief look of doubt, a point toward a hallway. In the waiting room, her heart dropped. 25 candidates. Sleek heels. Perfect hair. Photo-ready makeup. The room looked like an advertisement for expensive perfume. Blair looked like she'd finished a city marathon. She slid into an empty chair, tucked her sandals behind her bag, and steadied her breathing. She heard soft whispers. A discreet photo snap. "Is she barefoot?" someone murmured. Blair kept her head up and focused on the door. Footsteps approached, calm, in charge. She looked up and almost choked. The man from the sidewalk. Same dark suit. Same controlled face. "Oh no," she blurted before she could stop herself. "Not you again, Mr. Arrogant Fancy Suit." A few laughs. A few stares. He looked at her, unreadable, then walked on. Minutes later, the receptionist reappeared. "Blair Evans?" Blair stood, gathered what was left of her pride, and walked barefoot down the corridor. Inside the interview room, she stopped cold. There he was at the head of the table. The man from the sidewalk, now unmistakably the CEO, Derek Crawford. The job? Personal assistant to him. He glanced up, met her eyes. Blair managed a small, nervous smile and thought, well, I'm getting fired before I'm hired. Silence pressed in. Rent was 2 months late. Bills stacked like a precarious tower on her kitchen table. The refrigerator was mostly shelves and light. She needed this job. Derek opened her resume like he was reviewing a tax document. Blair Evans, he read. 27 years old. Business degree, Washington State University. Experience, coffee shop, clothing store, pet store. Hearing it out loud, even Blair winced. Not the straightest career path, she said carefully. Derek looked up. Why do you want to work here? She took a breath. Be honest, she told herself. What have you got to lose? Because I need to pay my bills before the lights go out and I start eating by candlelight, she said. Also because I'm good at what I do, even if my resume looks like life bingo. The coffee shop taught me patience before 9 a.m. The clothing store taught me diplomacy when a customer insists on the wrong size. The pet store taught me how to calm nervous creatures. Nervous creatures? He asked, almost interested. Anxious dogs. Stressed cats. CEOs who walk into people and break heels on sidewalks. For a second his mouth almost curved. Almost. This role needs discretion, organization, professionalism, he said. I have all 3, Blair replied. And I add a little humanity. Offices run better when people can breathe. Your weaknesses? She laughed lightly. I'm barefoot. I accidentally called the CEO stiff in the waiting room. My most unusual win is convincing a French bulldog to take a bath. I'm a work in progress. And your strengths? I don't quit, she said, steady. I'm here, aren't I? I didn't turn around when my heel broke. I didn't bolt when I saw you were the CEO. I'm good at turning chaos into order. Why hire someone with no corporate background? He pressed. Because experience can be taught. Attitude can't. Most candidates have perfect lines on paper. I'm not like everyone else. Sometimes, not like everyone else, is exactly what you need. He closed the resume. Interesting, he said, standing to end the meeting. You'll hear from us by tomorrow. She left with her shoes in her hands, heart pounding. The next day, while reheating coffee for the third time, her phone rang. Blair Evans? This is Sarah from ZNK. We have an offer for you. An offer? You've been selected. Can you start Monday at 8 a.m.? Blair nearly dropped the mug. Really? I got it? You did. Welcome. She cheered so loudly her neighbor banged on the wall. Monday arrived with nerves and a discount rack blazer. She'd bought new shoes with her last $20. She got to ZNK 15 minutes early, determined to make a calm, capable first impression. Within 5 minutes she was lost, walked into the wrong room 3 times and said, "Excuse me," to a mirror. "Are you the new assistant?" asked a well-dressed woman in her 50s. "Yes, Blair. I'm Emily HR. Your desk is here." It sat outside a door with a gold plate. Derek Crawford, CO. "This is your workstation," Emily said. "Mr. Crawford values punctuality and efficiency." "Got it," Blair said, taking the seat. It creaked. "What should I tackle first?" "Organize these and answer the phone." Emily left her with a stack of paperwork that looked alive. 2 hours later, Blair had spilled a cup of coffee, thankfully empty, answered the phone with, "ZNK, this is Blair," but stumbled over it, sorted files alphabetically that were supposed to be by date, and rigged a clever fan fix for a stubborn air conditioner. People noticed. Some smiled at her mishaps, others nodded at her quick thinking. A nickname floated by, the Barefoot girl from the interview. At lunch, curiosity turned into conversation. "Is it true you called Mr. Crawford arrogant?" asked Jake from marketing. "Technically, I said arrogant fancy suit," Blair answered, and the group burst out laughing. From his office window, Derek watched. He said nothing, but he watched. At day's end, Blair found a folded note on her desk. "You don't belong here." A chill ran through her. She tucked it away. Maybe someone wanted her gone. She wasn't leaving. A week in, the nickname stuck, and so did the stares. While updating Derek's calendar, an elegant blonde approached with a practiced smile. "So you're the newcomer everyone's talking about," she said. "Rebecca Hartwell, Finance. I've been here 8 years. "Nice to meet you," Blair replied evenly. "The girl who came to an interview barefoot," Rebecca said, sweet as syrup, sharp as glass. "Some call it innovative," Blair answered. "Shakes up old habits." "And how does someone with your background land so close to the CEO?" "Perhaps he needs someone who knows the difference between competence and arrogance dressed up as professionalism." Rebecca's smile thinned. "Bold. But boldness without substance is just noise." "And the rules here?" Blair asked gently. "Smile while stepping on people? Or just wear expensive shoes so you can step harder?" "Careful," Rebecca said quietly. "Some of us can make things difficult." "Good to know," Blair answered. "I like to be prepared when insecurity walks by." Just then Derek stepped out. He glanced at both women. "Everything all right?" "Perfect," Rebecca answered smoothly. "Just getting acquainted." "Blair, review these by day's end," Derek said, dropping reports at her desk. When he was gone, Rebecca leaned in. "This isn't over," she whispered. Later, Blair and Derek shared an elevator. "Trouble with Rebecca?" he asked. "Nothing a basic people skills course couldn't fix. She can be intense." "Polite way to say cactus," Blair said. The elevator jolted and stopped between the 10th and 9th floors. Derek pressed the emergency button. Nothing. He checked his phone. No signal. "Perfect," Blair sighed. "If we're stuck long enough, at least I'll save on lunch." "You're joking about being trapped in an elevator?" "It's a defense mechanism," she said. "When life's a comedy of errors, you either laugh or you break. And it works." "I'm still standing." He studied her. "You're not like anyone I've worked with." "Is that praise or a polite complaint?" "Undecided," he admitted. She grinned. "Honesty. I like it." The elevator lurched, descended, and the doors opened. They stepped out. "If Rebecca gives you trouble, tell me," he said. "Thanks. I've handled tougher," she said. "Pet shop, remember?" He smiled and watched her walk away. 3 days later, Sarah from HR appeared at Blair's desk. "Derek asked you to present the Harrison Project data in this afternoon's board meeting." "The Harrison Project," Blair echoed, trying not to panic. "Of course. It's the Western Division's quarterly sales. The meeting's in 2 hours." "Ready is my middle name," Blair said, already sweating. She dug through files until she found Harrison Q3, and spent 2 hours learning fast. Charts, spreadsheets, trends. In the boardroom, suits lined the table. Derek at the head. Rebecca at his right, smile poised. Directors watched Blair with curiosity. Blair will present the Harrison numbers, Derek said. Blair stood, hands a little unsteady. Be direct, be honest. 2 hours ago, I didn't know what the Harrison project was, she began. I thought it might be a Harrison Ford film. A few laughs. She continued. Now, after diving in, here's what I see. Our Western sales started strong in Q1, fell hard in Q2, down 30%, and are climbing in Q3. Not dramatic, but steady. Robert, sales director, leaned forward. What drove the recovery? Timing and focus, Blair said. Regional marketing found the right audience at the right time, and our competitors hit supply snags. We used the open field. For next quarter, keep the current plan and fine-tune. Don't change the recipe, just season it better. Silence, then Robert started clapping. Others followed. Excellent, Robert said. Clear and original. I agree, another director added. Rebecca's smile didn't reach her eyes. Later, Blair overheard in the break room, Rebecca's voice. She only did well because Derek is invested. Still, she did well, someone else said. With the CEO's protection, anyone would, Rebecca replied. By late afternoon, whispers spread. At 5:30, Derek appeared at Blair's desk. In my office. Here it comes, Blair thought. He closed the door. I heard comments about your presentation. I can explain. No need, he said. It was excellent. So, I'm not being fired? Why would you think that? Rumors, she said. Favoritism. What do you think? He asked. It's unfair, she said, steady now. Maybe my talk wasn't the most technical, but it was honest. And it worked. He studied her. Who are you really? She blinked. I'm someone raised to do my best with what I have. My mom worked 2 jobs. I don't have a polished background. What I do have is authenticity. I don't play office games. I work hard. And when people doubt you, I prove them wrong. He almost smiled. That's what you did. They talked about humor, about how laughing steals power from hard moments. She mentioned her mom had passed 3 years ago. Cancer. He admitted his mother died when he was 15, cancer too. His father later died of a heart attack. Work had become armor. Days later, Blair noticed Rebecca slipping out of the boardroom with a thick folder, looking guilty. Blair made a note of it. 3 days after that, Derek called Blair in. An anonymous report reached the board, claims you're inexperienced, attention-seeking, manipulative. Blair stood stunned. That's a lie. And the anonymity says enough. I know it's not true, Derek said. But I need to find who's pushing this. I have a guess, Blair replied. I saw Rebecca leaving the boardroom with a suspicious folder. I'll speak to her, Derek said. He did. It was tense. He called out her pettiness. She bristled. The message was clear. Stop. The following Monday, Derek told Blair, I need you in New York. Important meeting with Hamilton and Associates on Thursday. The deal's slipping. Me, she said. The woman who once broke the coffee machine? Exactly you, he replied. Your perspective matters. On Wednesday, Blair arrived at the airport 2 hours early. She mistook the wrong airline counter for the right one for 5 minutes. At security, she set off the detector 3 times before realizing her blazer's metal buttons were the culprit. At the gate, she grabbed a look-alike suitcase. The owner boarded with her shoes while she ended up with his size 42 suits. The airline fixed it, but not before Derek chuckled. How do you turn everything into a comedy? It's a gift, she said. In New York, after a quick emergency shopping trip, they headed to Hamilton and Associates. The boardroom was all glass and skyline. Derek presented, clear and technical, but the partners' faces stayed stiff. Then James Hamilton turned to Blair. Anything to add? She glanced at Derek. He nodded. Yes, she said. You're thinking of canceling because trust slipped. Not price. Not quality. Relationships matter here. We made mistakes. We've learned. Here's how we fix it. She drew a simple recovery plan on the whiteboard, what they'd do, when, and how they'd measure it. Practical steps, plain language. That was the most honest presentation we've heard, James said. And the most effective, Margaret added, finally smiling. 2 hours later, the contract was not only renewed, it was expanded. In the taxi, Derek said, What you did was extraordinary. I was just honest. You saved a year-long relationship. Technically we did, she said. You brought the competence. That night, a hotel mix-up put them in one room. Fully booked. 2 beds. Tension hummed. They ate room service, talked about work and old movies. When the space between them grew small, he leaned in. She stepped back. We can't, she said gently. I work for you. You're right, he said, breath unsteady. Sorry. You don't have to be, she said. It's complicated. Still, something had shifted. Back at the office, both felt it. People noticed, especially Rebecca. At lunch, Jennifer asked, So, New York? Productive, Blair said. We renewed Hamilton. Heard you nailed it, Jennifer said with a knowing smile. By Monday, rumors spread. In a staff meeting, Rebecca challenged Derek for bringing Blair to New York. Derek stood face cool. Blair earned her place. Her work renewed a contract we were losing. If you doubt my decisions, see me directly. Otherwise, let's move on. The defense helped, and also fed the gossip. Later, Blair escaped to the restroom to breathe. Derek walked in by accident, closed the door. We need to talk. This will only fuel the rumors, she warned. And if there is something to the rumors? He asked quietly. Her heart jumped. Derek. I can't stop thinking about you, he said. In New York, I wanted to kiss you more than I wanted to breathe. This isn't the place, she whispered. Emily from HR opened the door, froze, backed out. Blair stared at herself in the mirror. Honestly? I don't know what to do. A few days later, Derek approached her desk. The annual company party is Saturday, 4 Seasons. I want you there as my date. Your date? She asked. That will confirm everything people are saying. Maybe it's time we stop hiding. She held his gaze, weighed every possible consequence, then nodded. All right. But if I trip, you're not allowed to laugh. Noted, he said, almost smiling. Saturday night, Blair wore a simple black dress, the only formal thing she owned. Derek arrived at 7. You look beautiful, he said. You clean up well yourself, she teased. Almost civilized. Inside the ballroom, heads turned. Rebecca in bright red watched like a hawk. During dinner, Blair stood to greet the CFO's wife and, snap, the heel of her shoe broke. She wobbled, grabbed the chair and sighed. Apparently my shoes like dramatic exits. Laughter rippled around the table. That happened to me at my wedding, someone said. The ice broke for good. When the music started, Derek offered his hand. I don't know how to dance, Blair warned. Neither do I, he lied. She stepped on his foot, turned the wrong way, got tangled in her dress and laughed through all of it. He drew her closer. The room blurred. Thank you, he murmured, for reminding me life can be fun. Later in the quiet parking lot, they stood by her car. He touched her face. Don't say anything, he whispered and kissed her. Not tentative. Certain. When they pulled apart, she could only say, wow. This changes everything, she said. I know, he replied. Do you still care? She thought of every risk and kissed him again. Apparently not. In the weeks that followed, they learned the careful steps of discretion. At work, professional. In private, real. He'd say, keep Thursday and Friday afternoons open. She'd reply, understood, Mr. Crawford, hiding a smile. Their dates weren't fancy. Blair took him to small places with handwritten menus. He discovered good lasagna doesn't require linen tablecloths, and that joy lives in ordinary moments. She learned how heavy his responsibilities felt, spinning plates always on display. She told him people respect competence, not perfection, and that a little humanity might help more than he knew. Someone else watched too. Rebecca began collecting evidence, discreet photos. Leaving restaurants, walking close, a forehead kiss outside Blair's building. One morning, Blair found a brown envelope on her desk. Inside, photos. A note, I know your little secret. The next day the pictures floated around the office. Whispers grew sharper. HR called Blair into a small conference room where the board chair, Charles Morrison, and vice chair, Patricia Wells, waited. It's come to our attention you're in an inappropriate relationship with Mr. Crawford, Charles began. Blair drew a breath. With respect, my work stands on its own. I've never asked for special treatment. Perception matters, Patricia said. Derek entered, saw the photo on the table and went still. Where did you get this? That's not the point, Charles said. This affects leadership credibility. Stop, Blair said firmly now. Talk to me, not about me. Yes, Derek and I are in a relationship. It began after I was hired. I earned my role. I renewed the Hamilton contract because I did the work. If resignations are required, she added, you can have mine. But don't erase what I've accomplished. Derek stood. If someone's leaving, it's me. Blair earned her place. If you can't see that, maybe I'm not the CEO you want. Derek, you're being emotional, Charles warned. This is my rational decision, Derek said. Blair stays or we both go. Outside the room, Blair said softly, you shouldn't risk your career for me. My career means nothing if I can't protect the people who matter, he said. That's exactly their point, she replied, eyes wet. This can't be about emotion. The elevator opened. I need time, she said, stepping back. To think. That afternoon, HR traced the leak. Rebecca. She was dismissed immediately, but the damage was done. Blair packed quietly. When Derek returned from HR, a note waited on his desk. I need time to think. Don't look for me. 3 days without word. He called. No answer. He went to her building. Mrs. Rossetti, the outspoken neighbor, opened the door. Ah, the big fish, she said. You made a mess. Please, Derek said. I need to speak to her. She's where she always goes when her head's noisy, Mrs. Rossetti said at last. The community center in Ballard. With the kids. Derek drove 40 minutes to the modest building taped with children's drawings. He found Blair reading to a room of kids, giving each character a voice. Polite dragons knock, she told a little girl, and the group giggled. When story time ended, she saw him. Her smile faded. What are you doing here? Looking for you, he said. We need to talk. There's nothing to discuss, she said, gathering books. You made a choice. I made mine. I didn't have a choice. Not when it comes to you, he said, sitting awkwardly in a tiny chair. He spoke about an empty life filled with calculated decisions. You broke my routine the day we met. You told me the truth when no one else would. They sat quietly, listening to children's laughter from the playground. How's the office? She asked. Rebecca is gone. The board is split. For the first time, I don't care, he said. I found something more important. What? Come with me, he said. They drove to Green Lake. Ducks drifted across calm water. First time we came here, Blair said, you tried feeding a duck by hand and almost got pecked. And you laughed, he said. He turned to her, took a breath and, to her shock, knelt on the grass. He opened a small box. I'd rather be ridiculous with you than sensible without you. Blair Evans, will you marry me? You've lost your mind, she said, laughing and crying at once. We're in a scandal. Your job's at risk. Yes, he said simply. That's not rational. It's honest, he replied. And I've never been more certain. She looked at the ring, the lake, the ducks like small witnesses and said, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. They kissed while ducks complained noisily behind them. Mrs. Rossetti will be unbearable, Blair laughed. Worth it, Derek said. 6 months later, on Alki Beach in Seattle, Blair stood at the entrance to a white tent, bouquet of wildflowers in hand, bare feet in the sand. Ready? Asked Emma, her maid of honor. I'm getting married barefoot, again, Blair said, smiling. On purpose this time, Emma said. Mrs. Rossetti adjusted her floral hat. Didn't I tell you the big fish would be worth it? You did, Blair laughed. Daily. On the other side, Derek straightened his tie for the 10th time. You've addressed shareholders, Jake, his best man, teased. This is just a wedding. It's my wedding, Derek said. To the woman who turned my life into a romantic comedy. Emily peeked in. It's time. At the altar, the officiant smiled as Blair walked through the sand. A few guests chuckled at her bare feet, affectionately now. No broken heels today, Derek whispered. I learn eventually, she whispered back. The ceremony was simple and full of warmth. Derek's vows came first. You broke my heel, technically your heel, but you broke my habits too. You brought good chaos to my life. I promise to be your safe harbor when the world is too serious, to laugh with you, and to never try to change the way you turn setbacks into stories. Blair wiped a tear. You were the grumpiest man I'd ever met, she said, smiling as guests laughed. Under the armor, I found someone who only needed permission to be human. You taught me structure can be safety. I hope I taught you that a little chaos can be freeing. I promise our life won't be boring, that there will always be laughter, and that no matter how many heels I break, I'll always come home, to you. They exchanged rings, kissed, and applause rose like a wave. At the reception on the deck, Charles Morrison shook Blair's hand. I owe you an apology for last year. You were doing your job, she said kindly. Still, he said, Derek's been more productive, and more human, since you two met. The numbers show it. Who knew happiness helps performance? Blair joked. As the sun lowered over Puget Sound, Derek and Blair stood at the rail. "Mrs. Crawford," he said. "How do you feel?" "Strange," she laughed. "The good kind." "You're glowing," he said. She took a breath, smile widening. "Our honeymoon will be educational." As in you'll learn diaper duty." He stared, then lifted her off her feet, laughing. "Seriously? Seriously? In 8 months you'll be a dad." He kissed her, forehead to forehead. "So the chaos is just beginning. Ready?" she asked. "A little version of you who breaks things?" he said, grinning. "Blair Crawford, bring on all the chaos you want." "I'm ready." They danced barefoot as the waves whispered, knowing that life, messy, funny, and full, was exactly what they wanted together. What did you think of Blair and Derek's story? Leave your thoughts in the comments and rate it from 0 to 10. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next stories, and check out more emotional tales right here at the end.